Hello, hello, hello. The 2025-26 season is starting to come into focus for the Orlando Magic. We have the preseason and NBA Cup group stage schedules already released, and tomorrow we should know the rest of the schedule. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Orlando Magic fans, by an Orlando Magic fan. I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. While you're here, click subscribe so we can continue that conversation, as well as you becoming a part of the Orlando Magic Nation. While you're clicking around as well, click that like button. It really helps the channel out by it going out to more people. And lastly, this doesn't have to be a one-way street. So in the comments below, let me know which game you're most excited about or which one is going to be the most important in your opinion. All right, let's get started with the announcement of our preseason games. We're going to have 4 preseason games, the first being on October 4th versus the Miami Heat in Puerto Rico. Then we're going to stay on the road to face the 76ers in Philadelphia on October 10th. Then we're going to make our way to the City Beautiful on October 12th against the Heat again. And then we finish off the preseason October 16th against the New Orleans Pelicans. If we do a little bit of a breakdown of each of where the teams are currently at this moment, we're playing Miami twice in the preseason, so I have them listed here just the once. They're out with the old was Duncan Robinson, triggering his early termination from his contract, and in the end, I believe it was a sign and trade to Detroit. The in with the new, they made a trade with it was a 3-team trade that brought them Norman Powell, as well as drafting with the 20th pick Kasparas Yakuchonis, I believe is how you pronounce that. And they've signed him. Philadelphia, the big thing obviously with Philadelphia is always going to be the injuries. So there's a wild card on who's even going to play in that game. Since it's the preseason, most of the time the veterans don't play too much. But even with that being said, Joel Embiid and Paul George both have had procedures this offseason, and they may not be ready for the start of their training camp. So let alone this game here, but that's a little bit about Philadelphia. On their incoming, they obviously had a very high draft pick due to the tough season they had last year, and they brought in VJ Edgecombe. He's their big addition to the team. So we'll see how he mixes with Tyrese Maxey and McCain if the other two, if George and Embiid are not going to be available for that game. Then we finish off our preseason against the New Orleans Pelicans. They were very aggressive this past offseason. They made a big trade during the draft to move up many spots. So they drafted Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen with their draft picks in the 2025 draft. They made a big trade to bring in Jordan Poole as well as Sadiq Bey. So it doesn't seem that they're going to be trying to tank this year. It looks like they're going to be going for it, and this is the final tune-up in their preseason, so we might have a pretty good game on our hands there. And the other announcement that came out today was the NBA Cup schedule. We already knew the groupings and the teams we were going to be playing and where, but now we know when. So we're going to be starting off our NBA Cup journey against the Boston Celtics on Friday, November 7th. Then the following Friday, we're going to go up against the Brooklyn Nets. That one is also at home. Then we make it onto the road to Philadelphia again on November 25th. That's going to be the NBC doubleheader for the NBA Cup. And we're going to finish up our group stage play on November 28th at Detroit. The big thing of this schedule and of all the schedule in general is, of course, the Magic fans have been really wanting to have national television games. I'm not even going to call them nationally televised games because a lot of these things are going to be on streamings now, so it's not on national television. So for me, they're showcase games. So we're going to call them showcase games from now on. So a lot of the Magic fans have been wanting to have showcase games. They want to be in front of the most eyeballs. They want to feel included, and I think that's where it is most of the time. We haven't been in the spotlight for quite some time. So now we have a bunch of good players. We had a big splashy trade. We've done all we can. We've done a lot of development. So we're now in the competing phase or in the championship window. Obviously, that's where our salary is pointing to. So really, at this point, everybody wants to be in the showcase games. They want to be in front of the most eyeballs because that's what we want. So far, looking at the schedule for Christmas, Martin Luther King, the opening weekend, all of these other all these other time periods that are normally showcase games, There's no magic on any of those. But again, we have to be excited for what we do have. We have to be grateful for what we have. We do have one of these NBC games, and that NBC game is not going to be on. It will also likely be on Peacock because it's going to be on NBC, but it's not a Peacock only exclusive game, which are going to happen mostly on Mondays. So this is an NBC game, so it's going to be on national television. But the big thing is it's one of the few games of that day. So we're going to have the showcase on us. So hopefully we have a better year in showcase games than we did last year with our 1-6 record overall, basically in any of our showcase games. So this is the first opportunity, at least at this point. We don't know what the rest of the schedule has, but at this point, this is the first time that more people, or again, we're going to be showcased in front of the NBA. So hopefully we're able to succeed and hopefully we're able to play well, even if we lose, as long as we're playing well and get more eyeballs and get more traction. Because again, like I mentioned in previous videos, we have to make sure that we're in the national attention. We're the ones that are driving that discussion. Because once the media gets involved, and all that starts steamrolling, and then a lot of things come from that. So of these four games, Boston isn't the Boston that we're accustomed to. Right now, there was a lot of change within Boston. They ended up saving about $300 million in taxes and salaries and all of that. So they had a giant savings. The only real addition, no offense to the other guys who have been signed, was the Anthony Simons trade that they made. Again, that one sent Drew Holiday back to Portland. They had a lot of people that are no longer on the team that we knew from Boston, at least as of who we played in the playoffs last year. Drew Holiday is gone. Porzingis is gone. Luke Cornett is gone. Jason Tatum is out injured for the entire year next year. Or maybe he might show up later in the year, but definitely not here for that November 7th game. And Al Horford is more than likely not on their team anymore. He hasn't officially signed with anybody, but it seems all signs point to him not being a part of Boston. So that's going to be a big game in that it's still a big name team. So even if they're not fully, they're not at full strength, and we don't know how they'll be playing at that point. Again, the season will be pretty new during when this game happens. So we don't know exactly how we're going to be playing, or how they're going to be playing, or what even their rotation is going to be or anything. They might shoot 73 pointers a game now because they have no defense anymore. So we'll see. But this again is a showcase game for the Magic. At least internally, they should be circling this one, not only because it's a cup game, but also because they need to continue to prove themselves. So if we're not going to get showcase games because of the league, then we'll have to get them in the playoffs. So, or in the quarterfinals, semifinals, and hopefully finals of the NBA Cup. Those are going to be the ways that we get more eyeballs in front of us by proving it on the court. So a first victory against Boston would go a long way to that. Then we play against Brooklyn. The Nets, if you look here, Cameron Johnson was traded to the Denver Nuggets. D'Angelo Russell is over in Dallas now. And then they they drafted they drafted 5 rookies this year. So who really knows what they're trying to do in that respect? All we do know is they're going to play hard. Jordi Fernandez, their coach, will make sure that they're going to be playing hard. So we can't just take for granted that that's going to be an easy win. And again, the tiebreaker in the NBA Cup is point differential. So we need to lay it on. So if they are going to be a bit of a chaotic situation, we need to put the pedal to the metal and make sure that we have a 30-point win or a 20-point win that game. So especially if we're going to be playing well at that point. Additions on their team was Michael Porter Jr., Terrence Mann. So in that, their team is kind of up in the air. They ultimately just traded out Johnson for Porter Jr. Who knows what that's going to be? Again, we need the victories. We need each one of these victories, and we need to stomp on them if they're going to be super young like that and not knowing how to play as a cohesive unit just yet. Then the third game is at Philadelphia. Like I mentioned before, they already are currently having health issues. They had Paul George and Joel Embiid had procedures this summer. Who knows when they're going to be ready to play? Who knows how healthy they're going to be, even for this showcase game against the Magic? If not, then they're going to be very small, but very fast. As we saw last year in the game that McCain played against the Magic, he can play like that. He's a little guy, but he's out there to play. Terrence Maxey is an all-star, so we need to make sure Tyrese Maxey. I don't know if I said his name right. Tyrese Maxey is an all-star, so we know he's going to be bringing it as well. Then we also have Edgecombe here. He isn't much of a shooter yet, from what I've gathered on the draft prospect lists, but either way, he's going to be young and hungry. So even if they're not at full strength and they don't have Paul George and they don't have Joel Embiid, I suspect Paul George will be there, but Embiid, you never know. This is a showcase game, not only because it'll actually be on NBC, but again, it's a big name. It's a big name team. So Boston, Philadelphia, those teams, we need to make an imprint. We need to win these games. We need to dominate these games if we can. So let's hope that we put our best foot forward, even though it's on the road. We haven't necessarily been the best on the road the last few seasons, but now we're again in the new phase of our developments. We have some more veteran players. We have more offensive punch. Hopefully, this is a nice, easy victory for us as well. Then the biggie. Even if this one is not a showcase game on NBC or ESPN or any of these other things, and right now it's currently on League Pass, or it's going to be through the FanDuel Sports Network. Detroit. We play them on the Friday, November 28th. They are a big name. Not a big name in that they're one of these legacy teams as Boston and Philadelphia are for the most part, but they're the up and coming team. They're the other up and coming team. We were that 2 seasons ago, and then they became that team last year. Now, they've gone through a good amount of change in their roster. Dennis Schroeder is now over in Sacramento. Tim Hardaway Jr. also is in Denver, and Malik Beasley is currently out of the league due to being investigated due to scandal. That's not technically why he was going to be a free agent, but all those talks have kind of stopped at this point for obvious reasons. So that's that. And then in with the new, they brought in Karis LeVert. They signed him, and then they brought in Duncan Robinson via sign and trade, I believe. So ultimately they traded I say Tim Hardaway Jr. for Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson for Malik Beasley. Duncan Robinson hasn't been that much of a volume shooter as Malik Beasley was last year. So that is, I think, it'll still be a bit of a step back, even if Duncan Robinson's defense is better than Malik Beasley's. Karis LeVert is, I would say, a better player overall than Tim Hardaway Jr. I think the biggest hurt for them was losing Schroeder. However, they are bringing back Jaden Ivey. So Jaden Ivey got injured in the Magic game in early January of January 2025. So hopefully he's back healthy and he's able to contribute to the team. And everybody's at full strength so we can see who's going to be the better team between Detroit and Orlando. I'm hoping that we play Detroit to start the season, partially to start that budding rivalry. Cade Cade Cunningham is a great player. He's an all-star. He's an all NBA player, or at least an all NBA type player. I don't remember if he made the third team this year. I think he did. Paolo is who that is where we hope Paolo is going to be next year, when at the end of the season, when we start talking about all the different awards and accolades that he's going to have. So that's the game we should all triple circle on that one. It's November 28th at Detroit. Hopefully we can get that one. Hopefully we're undefeated in there and we're able to host the quarterfinal game against whichever team we play. Haven't really studied deep down into the NBA Cup just yet, but I will, because you know me, I like numbers and I like little charts like this one. So that's what we have currently for the schedule for the 2025-2026 season. Hopefully tomorrow we have the full entire schedule and this interminable drip, drip, drip of the schedule release ends, and we're able to have the whole schedule so we can really dive deep, see where there's going to be some tough periods, see where hopefully we're able to rack up some victories, and let's get this baby going. So thank you very much for spending your time. Again, the 3 things to do: you're going to click subscribe, you're going to click like, and you're going to put a comment down with what you think is going to be the best game in our group stage, or which preseason game you might be looking forward to. So I just want to thank you very much for spending your time, and I hope you're having a great day.